Welcome to another meeting of the Monster Club with the Horrorhounds. I'm Elysia, the Lorehounds resident Grand Dame of the Gothic.
And I'm John, fan of all types of superheroes, even when they're super dope monsters. And this is our coverage of the new Guillermo del Toro adaptation of Frankenstein, available to stream on Netflix.
So we're going to quickly give some fresh takes. I'm calling them, I heard Nicole and David got called out for, we say hot takes as in, here's like our freshest takes, not always that we're being controversial.
Right.
So I'm going to call them fresh takes from now on. So here are some quick fresh takes without spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched yet. But we're not going to linger too long there. First of all, like freaking Frankenstein, you probably know the outlines of the story at least. But quickly, Sean, what's your background with the whole Frankenstein genre?
I first saw the Boris Karloff version when I was a kid, before even reading the novel. So, it was Frankenstein. I think it was Dracula, all of these 30s films I consumed as a child. I even think Three Stooges had some Frankenstein and monster mayhem and things of that nature. And I would watch those as a kid, especially around Thanksgiving time, because they would always show on TV. So that was my first foray to the story. And then maybe in 7th grade, I think, was the first time that I read the novel.
Okay.
That was the first time I read the novel. It wasn't like maybe I was 12, 13. And it was just, captivating. Right. So I have a long history of being inundated with visions of the Frankenstein monster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those, obviously, it's been around much longer than either of us. So it's just something, it's tough to say. What is the first version I watched? Was it even something like Young Frankenstein, But at some point, I suppose I read the novel when I was required to in high school, and then didn't fully appreciate it until later. And now, obviously, I am very into the 19th century and the literature of that period, particularly the romantics and the ideas that they had about how monsters are made by society and all the things that's at the heart of Frankenstein. And I'm also clearly, if anyone knows my taste, it won't surprise you to know I am a fan of Guillermo del Toro. That is exactly my jam. What about you? Are you a Guillermo del Toro fan
I've seen
general?
every film that he's done, actually. And so I'm a fan. Blade, which one was it? The second one, I think?
Yeah.
I think he did Blade 2.
Yeah, the best one.
Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, of course, Pacific Rim. Mimic was one of my favorite movies. So I've seen every film he's made.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched all of his films, and I love best the Gothic ones. The Pan's
Crimson
Labyrinth,
Peak.
Shape of Water. Crimson Peak. You see a lot of Crimson Peak explicitly coming back visually in this movie. Yeah. And this is like Frankenstein was he's a monster lover, clearly. And Frankenstein, this is the movie he's been dreaming about making for ever since he was a child. So it's really cool to see him finally get to do it and get to have the budget for it. It apparently cost 120 million was the reported budget. So yeah, it's definitely his grand opus to date. And also, I love him for recently being very vocal about not using AI in art. I'd say you can tell that he's also into the romantics with a capital R, like the Shelleys and Byron. He's clearly studied the period and he echoes their sentiments as well. So cool dude. What did you think of? Well, okay, let me set up the premise real quick. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. And so, spoiler free for now, what do you think about the movie overall? Fresh takes.
I really wish that I saw it in the theater first. I didn't get a chance to do that, so um, that's going to be something that I regret, because even on TV, it's still beautiful to watch, but I can only imagine on the largest of possible screens what is so packed. You know, the things that I would be able to point out that I wasn't able to point out on TV. So I wish that I had seen it in the theater. I thought the casting overall was excellent. Everyone really sunk their teeth into this into their roles. Um, yeah, I don't think there was anyone who I didn't want to see on screen when they were on screen.
Right.
So I thought everyone did a spectacular job. Again, the visuals were gorgeous, and the one thing that I'll say is that I would like to go back into this very specific world with this very specific Frankenstein monster.
Mm-hmm.
It may be one of my favorite adaptations of the monster.
Right. Yeah.
So I would very like to continue um, to see post this movie the monster's trajectory in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say it has a less definite ending than, like the 30s movies with Boris Karloff. It has more of an ending like the book, but a kind of more hopeful ending than most versions of this story in some ways. So
Oh yeah,
it
definitely
leaves
hopeful.
room there that, there could be more story to tell. I don't think Del Toro is going to do that, but
No.
there is definitely room to tell more story. Yeah,
And
I
what
would
about
be
you?
curious. No one ever seems to do a proper sequel to what
No,
happens
no,
after.
no.
um, yeah, I am glad that I got to watch it the first time in the theater.
Okay.
I was lucky that to live somewhere that happens to, I don't know, we get some Netflix movies, but not others. Luckily, we got this one. Um, it was, with the visuals and the audience reactions were great too. It was great to be in a, all sniffling together at certain points or gasping at others. I just have to say, the whole Netflix buying Warner Brothers thing, I hope that if this goes through, that the influence goes the opposite way, that they have to allow Warner Brothers movies to play in the theaters more, and that they therefore allow their set pieces like this one to have wide releases in the theaters more. Yeah, I also just have to say, please, 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 never, never, never binge drop HBO shows. Okay. Anyway, that's enough about Netflix. But I'll just say, yeah. So I have a long history with this story, but I've also over recent months been intensely going through and studying this story, the original versions of it, the many adaptations, many of them. So I have had very clear in my head, like, just where all of the tropes came from along the path of adaptation. So I was still surprised by some of the things that he did with this movie, even though I watched, I don't know how many different versions of this story recently. He still did some very new things. And I have to say, at the end of the day, I didn't get everything that I was hoping for going in, but I realized, this is a movie that Guillermo del Toro is making about from his perspective. And it's not going to be obviously the movie that Elysia would make from hers. So I really appreciate it. And I think it is probably tied with the Kenneth Branagh one from 1992 is my favorite adaptation. And I know the 1992 one gets some shit, but I think I don't know. I like the bombacity for this story. And yeah, I think that they are both grand cinema and just really exploring the nuances of the characters.
I will say that I did appreciate that it wasn't like a straight adaptation of the story. That
Right.
he drew his own version of the story, and this is his view, what he found to be important, and changed the things that he wanted to change to make the focus on those sorts of things that he wanted to talk about. So I was very happy that it wasn't like a straight adaptation of the Shelley book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what would be the point then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the story. Most of us do, at least.
Right. And if you don't, there's, hundreds of different ways to consume different versions of it.
Right.
Yeah. So what would you say is the Pokela rating? For anyone who doesn't know, this is our rating for not only physical violence and gore, but also emotional violence.
It's got to be a 5.
Yeah,
I don't. 4 to 5. I wouldn't give it anything less than a 4.
I was thinking a 3, but I could settle on a 4.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as the gore level isn't that well. Maybe that's not true. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Okay, fair.
Wait a minute.
Let's go with 4.
Slow down.
I was like, well, except for the animals. Oh, and then that thing, right?
And the other thing,
the demonstration,
and that other thing. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Not for someone with I'm just so bad at judging this, but not for someone who's uncomfortable with, oh yeah, of course. And surgeries. You have to flat out watch surgeries.
Right.
Oh yeah. So fair warning there. Okay. Obviously written and directed by Guillermo del Toro, based on the book by Mary Shelley, and based on the 1930s Universal monster adaptations, and based on definitely pulls from a bunch of others since, and the entirety of romantic 19th century literature. So this is it's a film about this story, but it's also a film about filmmaking in some ways. Does that make sense?
You're gonna have to explain that one to me.
Yeah, I suppose it's my whole thing about adaptations of adaptations, and how this is like Guillermo del Toro. He's in conversation with the original book and with the the Universal Monsters movies, but he's just also in conversation with the entire history of filmmaking, of transposing this story to screen. Translating this story to screen.
Okay.
Anyway, so he had help with this from notably cinematographer Dan Lauston, who is a frequent Guillermo del Toro collaborator. He's also known for films like Silent Hill, The Gorge, John Wick 2 through 4, etc. Say what you will about The Gorge, but it's gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah. He's gotten 2 Oscar nominations so far for The Shape of Water and Nightmare Alley. And yeah, what did you think of the cinematography overall?
I mean, it's up there with Sinners for sure.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Some of the best from this year.
Yeah, it's on the short list for the Oscars for cinematography.
Okay. Yeah,
but it's I think that the main competition is going to be between One Battle After Another and Sinners, like in most categories.
Right.
But I think it could get a nomination.
And I think Sinners should win, but
I do have to say about One Battle After, you and I are both team Sinners. We know that. But I have to say about One Battle After Another,
it's gorgeous.
The cinematography is my favorite
it's just
part
gorgeous.
about it. But gorgeous. Sinners, that's immediately what hooked me into the first half of Sinners before it gets wild.
Right.
So, yeah, both worthy, both very worthy. But
I think all three are worthy.
All 3 are worthy. That's true. It's just the other 2. Well, we'll talk about some of the other awards. I think Frankenstein's going to do well in award season.
I think the thing that will hold me back from saying Frankenstein is because this is not entirely new.
Mm-hmm.
The
but
setting, just the backdrop is not new. It's not something that I haven't experienced before. I haven't experienced how gorgeous it is, but it's not something that I haven't experienced before. Like,
right.
The setting. So I think that's what would put Sinners to me on top of
right.
of this.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to the cinematography, I think Sinners. I honestly think One Battle After Another is going to win cinematography, and I'm okay with it. I think Sinners is going to win a lot of other categories. I think that Frankenstein is going to win in costumes. So I have to shout out Kate Hawley is the costume designer. She also worked on Crimson Peak, which you can clearly see here, and Pacific Rim. And basically, it is her and Del Toro working in combination, and she also works very closely with the production designer Tamara Deverell and the set decorator Shan Vio. She goes on the set and takes things and then incorporates them in the costumes she's making so that it all just fits together so seamlessly. And Del Toro was like, okay, I don't want any black Victorian costumes. I want something lavish and colorful. Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw, there's these movies that were made, especially in the 70s, the Hammer horror movies. There is a Frankenstein series, but the Dracula series is the most famous one.
You're talking about Blackula?
No.
I've seen Blackula a lot of times.
There's
Blackula lot of times.
I've never seen this one, but I know it exists. Wait. I'm saying the one I'm about to say.
Oh, okay,
I know
okay.
There's a Blackenstein. Did you know that?
I know there's a Blackenstein. I haven't watched
I didn't. I just learned that it exists.
Told me a few years ago of it. I didn't know it existed either. And then a friend of mine told me about it a few years ago, but I haven't been able to see it. So that is on my list of things that I must watch before I pass.
Yes, yeah. It's on my ultimate Frankenstein list. I just added it recently, so I have to check it out. But no, Hammer Horror, they're known for these ghost sets, blah blah blah. Hammer Horror is known for these intensely saturated colors with lavish scenery, even though the movies were made on the cheap. So that was a definite influence. And she said for Victor, he had bohemian influences, like how he looked like a poet scientist, basically. What did you think of Elizabeth's costumes?
Oh my gosh, that's just amazing.
I think they were the standouts.
Just first off, I thought of, how did people dress like this in the first place? Like the amount of time and
quite
effort.
Like that.
But
in general,
just in general, not the colors per se, but just the way that the clothing was made.
Like the corsets.
How did women subject themselves day to day, every day, with this constraints?
I mean, we still do crazy stuff every day.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But it was just, to me, that's the first thing that I thought of, was like, golly, geez, like, this is fucking torture. This is torture. And then, like you said, just the vibrancy of the colors that she wore were just against the backdrops that they had her in. Just amazing. Just amazing. Visually stunning.
Yeah.
And real quick, the Hammer horror, yes, I've seen them. We're talking about the Christopher Lee Draculas.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen them.
Well, that's one of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hundreds of times. I've seen the Christopher Lees. I think there was a werewolf one if I can remember, from that same sort of universe. So yeah, I've seen these things. I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, the Dracula ones are definitely the most famous ones. Yeah. But yeah, that color palette definitely comes in here. But yet, so Kate Hawley said, minor spoiler, we learned that this version of Elizabeth is really into bugs. She's into studying them. So this was supposed to reflect her personality, that she's this mercurial, luminous, fleeting image. I'm quoting Kate Hawley, evocative of beetles and beetles' wings. So that makes me think of in one scene where she has these feathers that are sort of like antennae over her face.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And she's got these almost clashing jewel colors. And like, I think of when she goes at one point to the tower, she's wearing this teal veil, and it reminds me also of, I think, the most dramatic, and this is, I'll shut up about the costumes after this, but I think the most dramatic moment was when Frankenstein's mother, at the very beginning of the movie, she's standing on the steps and she has that red veil blowing in the wind.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
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 So I hope Kate Hawley, this would be her first Oscar nomination. She more than deserves it. I hope she gets the win. I'm rooting for Frankenstein in that category for sure. But it's also in the running for the music by Alexandre Desplat, who's already won 2 Academy Awards for Grand Budapest Hotel and Shape of Water. He collaborates with Wes Anderson and Guillermo del Toro a lot, and lots of other people. He's been nominated lots of times. And the other awards it's up for, it's definitely a Best Picture contender. We'll see. It could be, there's a good chance it's going to make everyone's predicting it right now for the final 10. Maybe it won't, but it probably will. And Del Toro also is being predicted as a director. Elordi, who played the monster, he's getting a lot of love, obviously. The creature, sorry. And yeah, it could be adapted screenplay, of course, and almost definitely it's going to be production design and costumes. It has been shortlisted since the shortlist came out. Only certain categories are shortlisted, but it remains in the semifinals for casting overall. That's the new category: cinematography, makeup and hair, score, sound, and VFX. And there's a documentary, a 45-minute documentary on Netflix called Frankenstein, the Anatomy Lesson, if you want. It's sort of like their pitch to win those awards, but it goes into a lot of the details about costumes, makeup, locations, set design, and editing. So, yeah. Were you excited to see any of the cast in particular?
No.
No personal favorites?
No, I didn't go into the movie saying to myself, "Oh, I can't wait to see such and such." I went into the movie saying to myself, "I can't wait to watch this Del Toro movie." You know?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about the actors.
So it's about the director. Then yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, obviously I would have watched it with any cast, but I was excited by the casting in general. I like Oscar Isaac overall. Jacob Elordi was apparently a last-minute replacement for Andrew Garfield, who had to drop out after the strikes because of filming conflicts. And now I can't imagine it having been the other way. I like Andrew Garfield.
Right.
But Jacob Elordi was so perfect in this role. And I love Mia Goth from, like the Ty West movies and all that. She's a horror queen. And it was great to see her play a double role here. And Christoph Waltz, this is also the second time he plays the Van Helsing character in Dracula, A Love Tale that came out this year too. And Charles Dance and Lars Mikkelsen, even the minor characters were just stupendous casting. So it wasn't like I went in for them, but it was a pleasant surprise. Yeah. And the movie, it was released at the Venice International Film Festival. It got mixed reviews there. So that was like, people were hating on it at first, almost like there was this sort of backlash, and then it got released in the US and elsewhere and everyone immediately loved it. So it's got, all of its, like, for instance, on Rotten Tomatoes, 85% of critics gave it a positive rating and 94% of audience. So I think that's pretty on the nose. What would you say to people who are debating whether or not to watch it or to listen on?
First of all, you should definitely listen on, because Ayesha has, great views on things. So
right, but before or after watching,
you should definitely watch the film. You should definitely watch the film. I mean, even if you know the story, you're intimately familiar with the story, it's still different enough for you to be able to say, oh, okay, I didn't see that. That's a change, and enjoy the change that was made. I think, again, I wish I had seen it in the theater, but it's still a great viewing experience at home. So definitely it should be something that you watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix right now, so you can just like pause this episode and watch it tonight and listen to the rest. There's not much we can spoil except that we said there are changes. So it's worth your time. I know it's a long film, but it's an epic one. Buckle in, popcorn, glass of wine, whatever your thing is. But we're going to take a break now. And on the other side, we are going to get into full spoilers. We're going to talk all about those changes. Can't wait. See you in a sec. All right, here's a hot button question for you. So, we talked about this being Del Toro's greatest passion project. Jacob Elordi said in an interview that Del Toro sees the creature as a Jesus figure.
No.
Do you see that? No, you don't see the parallels?
No.
I've been thinking about it ever since, and I totally see it. Kind of.
You see it?
Like not in a
the first
savior.
I've heard of it, and I don't see it on first reflection. No.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like he's a savior of humanity, but then you're like, well, what if he was? But what if that was the next movie? I don't know. I think that sort of defeats the purpose of the original novel. But I suppose what he means by that is that he is someone who was brought onto this earth to suffer for the sins of humanity, in this case, I suppose, represented by Victor. And then, but he can't be, he has to, he lives on eternally with the suffering, like the whole speech at the end. I suppose
I don't
must
see
be
it.
what he was going for. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see it. I would have, I would love to hear why Del Toro thinks this.
Yeah. Because this is coming from not him, but Jacob Elordi. So something could be lost in translation too.
Definitely. And I would love for him to expound on that if possible. But just again, on first reflection, no, I don't see any connection or allegory between the creature and Jesus.
Yeah, that's fair.
And how life was lived.
Mm-hmm.
And what life was being lived for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a connection there.
Right. The purpose of it. That's a good point.
Right. So if somebody does see it, please let us know. Let me know what you see that I'm not seeing.
Or if you found an interview where Del Toro talks about this more, or talks about this at all, then let us know. Send it in, please. Yeah. We have our Discord link in the link tree in the show notes, and also the email as well, horror@thelorehounds.com. But yeah, so Del Toro, this part is easier to see. He also says it's a film about generational pain.
Yeah.
We see that.
We agree.
We see Frankenstein's father to him and then to his creation, passing on the same unfortunate lessons. I was surprised. There's a character from the books that doesn't make it into many of the adaptations, and I felt certain that Del Toro was going to include her for various reasons, but it's this character named Justine. And so when I first watched it, I was unpleasantly surprised not to see her there because she is involved in, she's a tragic figure, but she opens opportunity to make more, I think more about societal commentary. And I can see I've heard now Mia Goth say in interviews that she was hired to play 3 characters, and one of them was Justine, because she played the mother and she played Elizabeth. And then Justine was cut because Del Toro was focusing the film more, which, I can understand that.
Yeah, having watched it, I can see why there's no Justine.
Yeah.
I haven't watched
it's still
the finished
sprawling
product.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see why it was kept very personal.
Right.
If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know at one point Del Toro even wanted to do maybe like a trilogy of films, but that's obviously not what happened. And so then you have to cut some darlings and focus what is the point that you're going for. And yeah, like you said, it's something more personal, something more about himself and his father and his son. And that's where he was speaking from right now. So let's get into the first part. And I'm thinking for these synopses, I'll read the green part and you read the red part.
Sure.
Okay. So let's open with the prelude, Angry in the Arctic, I'm calling it. Somewhere in the Arctic in 1857, a ship of Danish explorers is trapped, frozen in the ice. The sailors petition their captain to free their vessel and then turn back south to safety. But Captain Anderson wants to press on to become the first to reach the North Pole.
Then, in the distance, there's an explosion on the ice. The captain and a team discover an injured man, Victor Frankenstein, and his remaining sled dogs. As Anderson installs the man in his quarters, another man, a creature really, leaps onto the deck of the ship in a rampage, killing 6 of the crew before they are able to subdue him and throw him into the frozen waters where he is presumed dead. Victor insists that the creature cannot be killed, and to explain, he begins to tell his tale.
So the boat was completely a real boat that was constructed for this and outside. But I thought the sky, like at first I was like, is this
I
the
thought it was
volume?
CGI.
Yeah, it might be a CGI. Like they CGI enhanced the sky. There was something unnatural about it. I liked
But it looks
that they.
good, though.
Yeah, it looks
Don't
good.
get me wrong. It looks good.
I mean, this is all meant to be an over-the-top fairy tale.
You're right. Right.
Although for realism, I do appreciate that they've, for once, had the sailors like speaking Danish. I mean, not that they're Danish in the book, but just that, it goes back to the whole Shogun thing. Like, if they're supposed to be speaking Dutch, get them to speak Dutch. Right. If they're supposed to be speaking Portuguese,
have them speak Portuguese.
Exactly. And I like the whole, going back to the costume thing, and the set decoration, everything. Apparently, it was about white represents death in many cultures. So they're like, let's paint all of the sailors in white,
right,
in the landscape in white. It is cool, like this establishing this. First of all, this opening with the Arctic, like the framing structure, doesn't make it into a lot of adaptations, although it's in the book. So I was glad to see it, but it's fun to watch this and sort of like what kind of adaptation in it is it? It's, like which tropes did or did not carry over from whatever. It's like, oh, Frankenstein has a prosthetic leg. That's new. Oh, the creature takes bullets and keeps going. Okay, I know where that comes from. So it's funny, like the sailors shoot him and then throw him in the water, and they're like, the bullets won't stop him, but the water will.
The water will.
Okay.
But the water will stop him. You know what I mean? For them, it's like, once you get into the Arctic waters, that's it. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see this part of they did include a few more scenes of this part intercut into the rest of the narrative instead of just making it strictly like the beginning and the end. Punt. In the middle, of course, because Frankenstein has to show up.
Yes.
Yeah. But we also saw established that the themes of this whole thing, where I talked about in a Will Shift Dust subscriber episode about how the book uses the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, which is an old Samuel Coleridge poem story about an old man who corners a wedding guest and is like, listen to my tale. And the wedding guest is like, but I'm supposed to be, actually, this is pretty interesting. Keep going. And then ends up the whole tale is a warning about don't do this thing that I have done wrong. Don't repeat my mistakes. And this man is cursed to tell this tale over and over again. And that's kind of the framing of Frankenstein is Frankenstein comes to the sea captain who wants to go to the north and, wants to be the first to reach the North Pole. And he says, don't make the mistake of having the same hubris as me. No, when you're going too far and turn back,
right,
which is
right.
You must love it because it's anti-science. I'm just kidding. It's no magic.
You know, I was at the edge of my sofa. I was like, yeah, you already know magic. I was waiting for a spell to come out, something.
No, for anyone who doesn't know, Sean, he's not anti-science. He's just pro-magic.
Pro-magic. Kick rock science.
But that does play into this quote that Victor says to the captain. Some of what I tell you is fact. Some of it is not, but it is all true. What do you think that means?
I mean, it's all true from his perspective, right? This is his tale. This is how he sees it. And he knows that, some of it is his own mind embellishing or, omitting facts. But that's his truth.
Yeah.
We tell our stories, right? And we could experience the same thing, you and I. When I tell it, it's a different story than when you tell it. Who's right, who's wrong? I think that's what Victor's saying there.
Yeah. We reshape our memories from a psychological perspective. We reshape our memories basically every time we access them. We insert little other details perhaps, or, corrupt them in some way. Basically, we overestimate the fidelity of our memories for sure. And I wonder, considering the creature himself shows up and is indeed, a walking reconstructed corpse, like which part is not true?
Right.
Maybe the parts where Elizabeth flirts with Victor, because that's what he wanted to be true.
Because maybe that's what he wanted, but maybe how he even sees himself.
All right. Well, let's get into, that was just the prelude. Let's get into the first whole, it's more than the first half, honestly.
Yeah,
Victor's tale. Yeah, this is the
meat of the story, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sets it up. My favorite is always the creature's tale, but you can't get to the creature's tale without Victor.
Without going through Victor.
Just as he would want. So this is a longer section. We're going to recap it all for you in case you haven't watched, or in case you want a little reminder of what we're going to be discussing. And we'll point out some details as we go, starting with Victor grew up in Switzerland, the son of Baron Leopold Frankenstein and French-speaking heiress named Claire. Victor's parents were not a love match, and Victor preferred when his father was away, which he frequently was. When Baron Frankenstein was at home, he would fight with Victor's mother and put Victor through grueling science lessons where mistakes or even delayed answers were physically punished.
Claire dies in childbirth, leaving Victor and his new infant brother William alone with their father, and inspiring Victor's future quest to conquer death. Years later, after fires and revolts on their mother's plantations caused the family's holding to dwindle to just one lavish estate, the boys are sent away from even that when their father dies. Young William to Vienna to live with family, older Victor to London, then Edinburgh to study.
Victor, consumed with learning the secret of creating life, is expelled from school after a fiery demonstration in which he revives half a corpse. But he has attracted a wealthy patron, Heinrich Harlander, who was sent there by Victor's own brother William, who is engaged to Harlander's niece, Elizabeth. Victor reluctantly agrees to let him have input in the project in turn for unlimited funding. However, when Victor, distracted by falling in love with his brother's fiancée, takes too long, the secretly dying Harlander threatens to withdraw his support.
When the night comes, when Victor will reanimate the corpse, Harlander reveals that he has advanced syphilis and is near death. He asks to have his brain placed in the new creature's body, but instead falls to his death. Victor completes the reanimation and thinks it's a failure, only to wake up to find the very alive creature standing over his bed. Excitedly, Victor begins to try to educate his new spawn, chaining him in the cellar and growing frustrated when the creature doesn't respond to his authoritarian teaching style.
Elizabeth and William visit the tower looking for Elizabeth's uncle, whose death Victor at first hides. Meeting the creature, Elizabeth is entranced, and using a much gentler teaching method, she quickly teaches him his second word, her name. But now the creature will no longer accept Victor's violent treatment and lunges at him for his cruelty. So Victor reveals Harlander's death, blaming it on the creature, and sends William and Elizabeth away so that he can burn down his lab with the creature inside.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. So it was on the nose, but the meaning of the name Victor was rightfully pointed out. And I think that ties into just very subtly mentioned backstory that I know that you must have had feelings about the fires and revolts on their mother's plantation, which I think that this is a callback to the fact that the Shelleys, Mary and her husband Percy, they were they were they were social justice warriors, basically. But let me just read a quick quote from a New Yorker article from 2018. They summarize their feelings about this. Well, for abolitionists in England, the Haitian Revolution, along with continued slave rebellions in Jamaica and other West Indian sugar islands, raised deeper and harder questions about liberty and equality than the revolution in France had, since they involved an inquiry into the idea of racial difference. Godwin and Wollstonecraft, which are Mary Shelley's parents, had been abolitionists, as were both Percy and Mary Shelley themselves, who, for instance, refused to eat sugar because of how it was produced. Although Britain and the United States enacted laws abolishing the importation of slaves in 1807, the debate over slavery in Britain's territories continued through the decision in favor of emancipation in 1833. Both Shelleys closely followed this debate, and in the years before and during the composition of Frankenstein, they together read several books about Africa and the West Indies. So, were you surprised about this connection popping up?
I was. I did not expect a throw into the Haitian Revolution. I was not expecting it and was pleasantly surprised and very happy that he threw that into the film to show, just how their lifestyle was funded and the repercussions of that lifestyle no longer being available on their family. Because that's when it went downhill.
Right. Yeah, and I have to say that the not eating sugar because of how it was produced, I didn't realize that was a thing until Sanditon is a TV show on PBS made from an unfinished Jane Austen novel, which involves a character who is of West Indies origin, and she starts a strike against the sugar amongst the people of this town of Sanditon. And that was the first time I really thought about or realized that. But it's not surprising, I suppose, just knowing that Mary and Percy were always involved in, and especially Mary's parents were always involved in these sort of causes. Like Mary's mother moved to Paris in the middle of the French Revolution. Like, what are you doing, lady?
Right.
What do you think? Okay, I asked you about the Jesus interpretation. The New Yorker article that I quoted, their interpretation of the novel is that the part of the meaning of the creature is to represent an enslaved man.
Huh. I've heard that argued before, and no, I've never agreed with that. With that viewpoint. Because to me, to argue that the creature was an enslaved human would be to say that enslaved humans started from a place of nothingness.
Were created, right?
Right. Like their consciousness was not there prior to the machinations of this person or, white people
Europe,
or Christians or whatever. So I've never subscribed to that theory.
Yeah. No, it doesn't sit well with me either for similar reasons, even less well than the Jesus one, to be honest.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Jesus one I just don't get. This one I just thoroughly don't. Excuse me.
Yeah.
This one I just thoroughly don't agree with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, people who are interested in the angle about Mary as the monster, that is something that Ayesha and I from every single sci-fi podcast ever talked about extensively in the Wool Shift Dust episode about the 30s movies. So check that out there. But I think there's more to that than to either of these. But I mean, of course, I think, yeah, she is just in general, it's a reflection of what she sees in society and the things that her parents taught her growing up. Speaking of parents, so we have here Mia Goth playing Frankenstein's mother, they changed his parents' names in this version. What was her name? Was Claire here, which is interesting because
Yeah, I think it's Claire.
Claire was Mary Shelley's sister, so that's. But I guess they wanted her to be, have a French name, obviously, so that they could make those Haitian plantation links more explicit. And another thing they made more explicit is, I talked extensively about the colorism in the different versions of Frankenstein, where like Elizabeth actually was in the first version, had dark hair and eyes. And in the second version, she was the perfect angel with blonde hair and blue eyes. So it's interesting that Victor thinks his father despises him because of his and his mother's darker coloring.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and his father is a Lannister, so we just had to call that out. But by the way, Charles Dance also played the father in the 2015 Victor Frankenstein, the one with Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy, which I actually really like that one. It's very different, wildly different, but I really like it. But anyway, that's funny. He played the same role again here. But we have here like the mean version of Victor's father, where in the novel he is a much more loving presence, and here it's about like the father in many way I think represents society and how Victor is shaped by his society being his father.
Yeah, I think Del Toro really wants us to see Victor in the light of his circumstance. This is not nature. This is actually nurture, right? And in that, Victor wasn't, born to be this. Victor was raised to be this way, and I think that's the argument that the film is posing. Is the creature a creature because of just the happenstance of how it came to be, or because of how it was shown? What was imprinted upon the creature at the moment that consciousness, emerged.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, to me, this is very nature versus nurture. This is very the science of who we are and why we are them.
So it's in some ways, I guess I would say, like, I'm trying to think about how the two different parents fit into this, and I suppose obviously the mother is nurture, Claire's nurture, and then
but so is the father.
Yeah,
he's like this is how he's raising he's raised in this way after his mother passes, and even before his mother's passes, his father is very draconian with him. It's very
right
stern and very unloving in a way.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is juxtaposed with, not nurture as an overall how he's raised, but the mother is nurturing. And the father is more about like, okay, his father, Leopold, in this version says there is no spirit in tissue. There is no emotion in muscle. This in like the physical punishment and everything. Obviously, this is what we see Victor playing forward as he trains the creature. He can't think of the creature as having a soul because there's no spirit and tissue, no emotion and muscle. And yeah, physical punishment is so I feel like there's like an intellectualism, like a cold intellectualism
Yes,
versus
the science of reasoning. This is the age of reason. We're not beholden to our emotions. We are beholden to fact. Right?
Whereas reality needs both.
The things that we can prove.
Yeah.
Not the things that are unseen. We only can trust in the things that we can see. Right?
Yeah.
What you see is all that we have. And you need to make your peace that if you're going to be a great person, a great man in our world, that these things are just tools, right? We have no time for tears and hugs and kisses. And that's what his father represents.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting though, also, in terms of like the nature versus nurture question that you were saying earlier, is that this is something that's addressed slightly differently in the two versions of the Frankenstein novel. So there's the 1818 version where the father is the first to teach Victor these sciences, like in this movie. And the idea there is kind of more that evil is taught at home versus in the 1831 version of the novel, Victor starts to learn about this stuff outside the family. So it's like, it's outside corruption influences. But here it's very much, evil is taught
inside,
at
right?
Home.
At first at home, you learn these things, right?
Yeah.
And then you bring them out into the world.
What did you think about the whole scene where Leopold kind of forces Claire to eat this bread sopping with blood because she's pregnant? And then the next scene, basically, we see her have die in childbirth. Do you think we're supposed to read any connection between the two in together?
Yes. Absolutely. I felt it was, Leopold is like he has his beliefs, right? And he's very dogmatic about his beliefs. And no one who is of a lower station can tell him that his beliefs are wrong.
Right.
So if he tells you that eating this blood-soaked piece of bread is for your health and benefit, there is nothing that you, a person who is not as learned as he is, can say to dissuade him from that fact. And you're just going to have to eat it.
Right. Even if it feels wrong for your body.
Even if you know it's wrong for your body. And the next scene is her death. It can't be happenstance. It can't be, like coincidence here.
Yeah. Like the blood is a sort of, it's not like he was physically abusing her, but I think the bloody bread does represent the abuse that he was passing on to her every time he was with her, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of liquids, did you notice Victor was an absolute milk fiend throughout the movie? He was drinking milk left and right like he was Homelander from The Boys. I mean, I guess do you think there's any interpretation other than mommy issues?
I don't know. I just thought that was his own peculiarity. This is a very peculiar person, and he's stuck on mother's milk. What does that say about him? Yeah. What does that say about him? You know what I mean?
He's also, by the way, like he seems to be an atheist, this version of Victor, at least at first. And which is interesting because Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley's husband, before they ever even met, was kicked out of college for being an atheist and writing about it. And he wrote a poem and sent it to all the deans. Yeah, about how like they were wrong and everyone should be atheist. And they're like, oh, we're going to kick you out, which we'll talk about the demonstration in a bit, but I feel like both of these things are referring back to that. But Victor says, perhaps God is inept and it is we who must amend his mistakes. And that does, like, I said that the part about learning evil at home remind me of the first edition. The part about like this being a story about blasphemy reminds me of the later edition. Do you think that that's true, that this is a story about Victor being a blasphemer?
I think yes, in a way. I think this is a story about the rejection of the church, of religion. Because this is a time where things were undoubtedly questioned, right? Even more so than the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, right? 19th century is a time when people are questioning the very foundations of what had been thought to be, the way that God intended the world to be for hundreds of years, right? You have these revolutions at the end of the 18th century that upended, social order. Scientific breakthroughs are occurring. So yeah, I think this is an outright rejection of Bible thumping religiosity in the world. Like, we're keeping it separate from science. Like, science is its own thing, and God has no place in a lab.
So you think we should take what Victor says at face value, or do you think we should say he's being hubristic and wrong?
Both. Both.
What did you think of the demonstration scene?
I mean, I thought there's a lot of truth to that. Being in that time period and trying to say to folks, like, what you've thought of as impossible is actually possible, and the reason you thought it impossible is actually bullshit. How would that be received even today?
What's the half corpse? That was a real practical puppet.
That was great. That was a
they
great
had
visual.
Like 2 live puppeteers operating it, and like even caught the ball, all that stuff. That was so cool.
Amazing. That was an amazing visual.
Yeah. And we learned about the batteries.
And you can see the fear in the eyes of the people in the room. Especially the people in charge. You can see the fear in their eyes, like, what the fuck? Like,
except Harlander, who sees, oh
yeah, the possibilities of extending his own life. But, the rest of the room, the people who weren't cheering him on, they were like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. No. No, we can't have this. What if he's right? That's going to throw 500 years of teaching, of research, what we believe to be the ways of the world, out the window. We cannot have that. You could see in their eyes these thoughts. At least to me, I saw it.
No, and it does remind me of the whole Percy Shelley thing, where he was called to answer for his atheism and then kicked out because I think it scared them. Yeah. About Harlander, he gets there are some on the nose references to romantic stuff. Like, for instance, the subtitle of the book is, it's called Frankenstein or A Modern Prometheus, because for some reason every book back then was titled twice. But Prometheus, for anyone who's trying to remember which one Prometheus is the Titan who took fire from the gods and gave it to humans so that we could, have fire. And then he was punished for that by Zeus by having an eagle eat his liver every day, and every day the liver regrows.
Chained to a mountain.
Right, chained to a mountain, and the liver regrows, and he has to, he's tortured with this. So he takes something that belongs to the gods, gives it to humanity, and is punished for it, basically. And that's what the parallel is with Victor Frankenstein in this. And then Harlander, just in case you missed it, says, Can you contain your fire, Prometheus, or are you going to burn your hands before delivering it? Which I love the reference, but also the implication that Victor is too impatient, which is ironic considering that Harlander wants him to speed up later because he's dying. But anyway. But there were a lot of on the nose references in the original novel too, so I don't mind that at all. And I hope that people hear that and because we're able to watch this movie at home on Netflix already, I hope that people take their time with it and pause over references like that and what they might mean, because for me, that's what makes me really love this movie is dissecting it. It's a great watch experience, but then when you pick apart all the pieces and see how detailed each individual line or shot or just all these things are, that's why I think this is worthy to stand amongst the best films of the year, like Sinners. Just in case we didn't mention, we like Sinners.
Yeah, Sinners. Best film of the year.
But yeah, this is also one of the best films of the year for that reason.
Absolutely, but not better than Sinners.
No, didn't claim it. But yeah, Harlander, he's a new character for this, and so his illness is new too, and he got me going down like a deep dive about why would you treat syphilis with mercury? Well. When did you figure out that he might be dying? When he said, or
when he said?
yeah, same. But then when I went back and watched again, I noticed there's a scene where Victor comes in and he's taking pictures of a model he's sleeping with, obviously, because she calls him Kiki, and he calls photography a memento mori. And he does literally have like a skull posed in the picture and everything.
Right.
But I realized after, I'm like, oh, this is like he wants to leave photography behind as the memento. It's his memento mori. He knows he's dying. And also he's leaving it behind as a sort of like relic of his life. Even though he's mostly an arms dealer. So
yeah,
a death
that part.
dealer. A death
that part.
yeah. He's a man of contrast. Yeah. But he seems soaked in death, this character.
Absolutely.
Like when I watched it the second time, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have guessed, but I did not guess. Because it's new. And then we find out, he dabbled in surgery and, he's a medical collection with the lymphatic system, which he calls the secret circulatory system. And I think this might be the first that I saw, at least in this way, or maybe even at all, attempt to explain, it comes from the 30s films, this idea of Frankenstein being immortal. But now, like, they actually attempt to use science to explain the eternally pumping heart. And I know, magic, but but I appreciate that they're saying basically that the lymphatic system is what they're suggesting is a secret to the eternally pumping heart. Like it just
abracadabra
with his special battery inside, with his magic battery. He had the magic batteries. Which is like, I don't know, Tesla technology or something, wireless. So that's Harlander. Obviously, he hopes for that eternally pumping heart because he has syphilis, which is. Have you ever met anyone who had it?
I work in public health.
Right. Okay. Fair.
Yes. I'm very familiar with the disease and disease progression.
Okay. Do you want to?
Untreated. No, please. I want to hear what you say.
Well, you want to? I just copied from Pharmaceutical Journal.
Sure.
It's like a summary of the disease progression because it helps set where we see Harlander in it.
Yeah, so it's a sexually transmitted disease caused by the bacterium Treponema pallidum and has 4 stages. 3 of the 4 has manifestations on the skin. In the primary stage, painless ulcers or chancres appear on the genitals, and if allowed to progress into the secondary stage, blotchy red rashes appear, usually on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. Occasionally, hair loss also develops at this stage. This is then followed by latent stage, during which sufferers have neither sign nor symptoms of the disease. This stage can last for years. During the tertiary stage of syphilis, the skin, bones, internal organs, nervous system, and cardiovascular systems begin to be irreversibly damaged. Patients are often ostracized from society and suffering from severe disfigurement. That's not true currently. So
right. That's gotten
in
better.
modern day.
Right.
Because treatment is readily available and it really works. And yeah.
So what's the treatment look like now?
You get a shot.
That's okay.
It's like your series. It's a really painful, huge needle. It's probably the biggest needle that you can that can be injected. Get a shot in the butt. Come back, get another shot in the butt, and yeah, it's not something that you want to
experience. Best avoided.
Yeah, the first time I saw the needle for the meds, I was just like, what the, like, really?
What kind of horror
really,
movie?
This is what we're doing.
Nonsense.
Like, oh my. Yeah. So, but it is, the thing is that the disease is treatable, and once you are treated, you may test positive again and again, but it doesn't mean that you have an active infection.
Mm-hmm.
You will always test positive, but it doesn't mean that you have an active infection.
I see. So how do you know if you get it again?
Because they check something called titers, and that will let you know the ratio. If the titer ratio, if it's high enough, then they know it's a new infection.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, so it's definitely like most medical things has gotten much better. And there were just so many in the 19th century. There were so many treatments that just made things worse. Like I talked about Byron in other episodes. I talked about Byron dying from bloodletting because he had a fever. And they're like, oh, we better get rid of that bad blood. Like, well, he actually needs it to get better. And then for syphilis, they used mercury for medicine for centuries, and like they would use mercury ointments, and by the 16th century they started using it to treat skin diseases, and then in the 19th century they were treating syphilis and other STDs with mercury, and this would lead to like you basically your body's responding to a poison, so there'd be cramping and salivating and diarrhea and vomiting, and then the doctors would point to you vomiting and your guts out and say, oh, but that's how we know that it's working, because they believed at the time that the body had literally 4 humors or fluids: the black bile, yellow bile, blood, and phlegm. And disease was a result of humors being out of whack. So basically, when you took this mercury poison and it forced you to vomit out your guts, you were actually getting out the bad stuff. The same with the bloodletting, getting out the bad stuff. Only you're actually just killing yourself unknowingly. Right. And so this treatment was killing their patients faster. Yeah. So that's what we see going on with Harlander. So just really a new character and just a super, super tragic character. Did you have any more thoughts about Harlander?
No, I just love Waltz and everything that he does. So
yeah.
When I said everyone really sunk their teeth into their character, he took a huge bite of that character and chewed that motherfucker, because he was awesome. I really enjoyed watching him on screen.
Yeah, no, he's a lot of fun, and I just like the tragedy. He makes this research happen, and then he doesn't live long enough to benefit from him. And then when he falls, his brain's actually smashed. So even if Victor wanted to use it, he couldn't. It's just like wah, wah, wah. But he has his photography left behind.
And that's the thing, though. There are a lot of science, a lot of what we know the people who we know these things for maybe did not live long enough to have those things benefit them.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just, people who fund research and people who do research and have breakthroughs, oftentimes, they're not around to see the fruits of their labor.
Right. But it doesn't mean that their labor wasn't significant or worth it. Although in this case, I mean, they created a new life.
They did. Whatever. They did something.
Yeah. They did something for sure.
Something that no one else had done, right?
Nope. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to dive more into that after a quick break. And we are back and continuing our conversation about Victor's tale. Let's jump over to William and Elizabeth. So William, always the brother in these stories, always gets killed. It is interesting. This is the oldest version of William I think we've seen in any adaptation. Normally he's like a young, innocent kid who gets killed. But here, like after Victor's talk about the darker coloring and stuff, it is interesting that William is blonde and cited as being more like their father. Oh, I don't see anything about like between him and their father at all, except that maybe I don't know. Do you see?
I think there's not that William is like Leopold, but I think Leopold obviously favors William because he is more outwardly classical European in look.
And his temperament is also easier, I suppose.
I think it's because of how William treats him. Again, this is nurture rather than nature to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's probably true too. He does have the same parents at least. But
yeah, allegedly.
Very interesting. Probably the biggest change of this whole thing is that Elizabeth in this version is William's love, not Victor's love. Victor just covets her.
Right.
So it's interesting because in some versions of the story, like Elizabeth is sort of given to him as a gift in the way that the creature wants to a mate to be given to him. And here in this version, she's not given to him at all. She's not his to have. He just wants her and can never have her because it's his brother's bride. Interesting. Yeah, she's also blonde, since the coloring seems to matter for this. And he parallels the creature in a different way, where rather than getting everything the creature can't have, I suppose it sets them up for that conclusion later where he has more empathy for the creature at the final moments.
And when I say, I just want to point out, when I say he looks European, I mean that what the period says a European looks like blonde, white, blue eyes and of that.
Aryan was
there we go.
Intentionally going for
a good word for that. And Victor does not fit that description at all.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was done on purpose. We have to remember this is a Mexican director too. And he chose an actor to do this for a reason. And I think, he put it explicitly in the script too. So he's not playing coy with it. What did you think about, though, the relationship with Elizabeth and William on the one hand and Elizabeth and Victor on the other?
Yeah, it was just, somebody wanting something that they, can't have. And being really messy about it.
Do you think she was into Victor at all?
I don't know. When I thought about it at first, I said yes, but then thinking about it further, I just I'm not sure if she was interested in Victor, or was she interested in Victor's, like mind. If that makes sense.
Yeah. She was excited by their verbal sparring matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting, their first conversation, where she brings up, like, at first it's about him always wanting attention, and then she brings up, she's like, well, it's like men in war. I was like, wait, what? and Harlander leaves William away. He's like, oh, we've all heard this whole thing before. Exactly. Like, okay. And she says, yeah, men dying far away in ugly ways for elevated ideas of honor, country, valor, while the men who provoked those tragedies remain at home. Like, all right, you say it, sister.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It was interesting. Yeah, we have like that whole thing, and then the thing where there are some great scenes between them where Victor pretends to be the priest and tries to get her to confess, and she sees right through him. And they go to lunch, and he realizes, like, he assumes that she's interested in romances. Even after that whole talking about men and wars thing, he's still thinking of her as this frivolous woman. So it's like he's flirting with an idea, not a real person. And I think she sees that he doesn't really see her.
Right. I think the attraction is because she's engaged to William.
You think? Because she's off limits?
Yeah.
I think he likes her intelligence, but he just doesn't. I think also probably why Del Toro wanted Mia Goth to play both this character and Victor's mother is to show that he sees something in her that reminds him of his mother.
Similarities.
Yeah. Yeah, some real...
And we also have to remember that this is his version of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's truth? What's fiction? What's fact? What's not? You know, what does he omit? What does he put in? He tells us from the very beginning when he starts the story. So we have to think about, what is he seeing in Elizabeth that is actually there, and what is he seeing that he wanted to see?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And she's, meanwhile, like, what do you think of her quest? She says she's on a quest she had just recently gone to a convent because she's on a quest for something more pure and marvelous. And this is why she's interested in the creature later. What do you think of that as a motivating factor? And do you think, like, do you see something in a convent that's pure? Do you see something in the creature that's pure?
I'm a lapsed Catholic, so I can't say the affirmative to that question that you just asked about convents. So I'm not entirely on board with her saying, she's seeking something pure, and she went to a convent to find it.
Well, to be fair, apparently she didn't find it there.
Yeah, she didn't find it. Right. Yeah. But that was one of her stops along her journey. So yeah, I don't know what she's actually looking for.
Yeah. But I mean, apparently what she's looking for, she found it in the creature. So maybe it's like,
what was that?
Maybe it's a lack of artifice, like just an honesty,
a blank slate.
Yeah, like yeah. But maybe that also, but maybe just also like a lack of faking it or pretending to be something that you're not.
Something that you can. They're I think the both of them are using the creature.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me, there's a scene that's purposely included. I think we're supposed to interpret something from it, where she and Victor capture a butterfly together. And a butterfly is, of course, like often the symbol of innocence and freedom. And she says, now we have something in common, a prisoner. And that's sort of foreshadowing what happens with the creature in many ways, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
And it's interesting that she leaves the butterfly behind when she goes to Victor's lab. He confesses his feeling and she leaves it there. So she says she's chosen, and then she's chosen. I think maybe what she sees in Victor in trapping that butterfly, in trapping the creature later, she is intrigued by him, but also disgusted by him. and ultimately disgust wins.
I could buy that.
So what was your favorite set overall in the film, and why was it the lab? Just kidding. What was your favorite set?
It was the lab. It was the lab. This the pure gothic mix of it. Mm-hmm. It's just like so spectacular in every single way. Old, decrepit, full of new technology, a mashing of going further than we've ever gone before, and just really felt like a mad scientist's lair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just felt that way. And that's what he is. He's a mad scientist. And I just loved every inch of the grandeur of the lab. When you walk in this huge opening skylight, just really, really nice.
Yeah, I liked it. Was so this is apparently at a lake near Vaduz, Switzerland, and it was a tower built for water filtration and irrigation. And I love the specificity of that and how it, led to what you're talking about, these features with that openness in the center, and then where the creature, the whole tower is obviously inspired by the 30s movies, including the whole bit where he locks the creature in the basement. But here it's made fresh by the setting. Like, yes, we see that old setting in this, but it's new and interesting. And yeah, this is also where we see like some explicit Crimson Peak references. Like Guillermo del Toro literally wanted to reuse that big circular window from Crimson Peak. What did you think about Victor's red working gloves? Did you ever mistake it for blood on his hands?
I didn't. I didn't. Yeah, I thought they were. I didn't think they were. It was fluid. I didn't think it was smeared. So no, I didn't mistake them for blood on his hands.
I'll admit, obviously, I brought that up because I did for a second.
You did.
For a second. I mean, just when he was in the midst of like, there's that whole extended body deconstruction and reconstruction sequence, which was gnarly and gothic. And
yes.
Yeah, I thought like, oh, his hands are coated in blood. Oh, wait, it's the red gloves he's been wearing the whole time. Never mind. It's another mama issue. Oh, but yeah, he's doing these bodies from, this is an interesting thing. Rather than being bodies stolen from a graveyard, as in many versions, these are either bodies that were condemned to hang. Okay, that's pretty much the same, or taken from frozen battlefield piles. And I don't know if they even said by name what war they were talking about. And I thought that was interesting. I
don't think they did.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that it was just like about humans being eternally at war. Although I saw, based on the setting, I guess it would have actually been the Crimean War. But I don't think it's necessary to know which one. The point is, it's like Harlander says at one point, it's like wars and wars and wars going back forever.
Right. I didn't even think about which war while watching. I didn't cross my mind. Oh, I wonder what war that is.
Yeah.
It's just horrific enough that they're going on the battlefield to collect bodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just, the whole comment about there's always some war. The book was written in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars. And
right.
Yeah, there's always some war whenever you said it. You know what I thought was like Victor at his most shady was during this whole sequence with the whole like construction of the body in the lab and stuff. He's clearly trying to steal his brother's girl. And so he leaves William to supervise the construction of this pure silver lightning rod, basically to like get him out of the way and let him oversee the lab. And William William's too good to be true, to be honest. He's just always helping his brother, even though his brother is very clearly drooling after Elizabeth.
Why do you say that? I don't think he's too good to be true. I think, I think that's.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you get any like romance between Elizabeth and William?
Absolutely not.
But do you think that's just because this is told from Victor's perspective?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what did you think about William's relationship with the rest of the characters, or him as a character?
I thought that he's the younger brother, but in many ways he acts like the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
He very much wants to, see his brother succeed, and he tries to protect him, and he tries to do things to help him along his path. So I felt like there was an inversion of what we normally think of sibling relationships.
Right.
Like William is the one who is allowing his brother to follow his heart, right? And a lot of times it's the older siblings who put in the work so that the younger siblings have an ability to break free from the constraints of the family.
Right.
And this is different.
It is weird also, like later at the wedding, William refers to, I'm going to sell the estate. And it's like, well, you're the younger brother. Why is the estate yours to sell? Like, I know his dad liked him better, but did he explicitly leave his property to his younger son?
I think he did.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that he did. I thought that's what he did. I thought he left it to William.
Yeah. It is true
that he sees Williams as his true son.
It's interesting. They have indeed like kind of swapped personalities versus what you stereotypically think of older, younger sibling, whereas Victor's the more brash attention seeker and William the more responsible one. So, okay, if you, of the versions you've watched or comparing it to the original version, how did this animation sequence stack up in the Frankenstein lore?
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. So I was very happy with it. I thought it. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I have to do some. I'll think about it a little bit more. But I thought it was really well done.
What did you think when it didn't work? Or it seemed not to have worked when Victor just said like, oh, I give up and went to bed and then woke up and found the creature standing over him.
Yeah, I thought that was dope.
That is something from the novel that Del Toro.
From the novel, right.
Yeah,
right.
Del Toro was like, that's a favorite scene of mine that I think I've seen maybe one other adaptation that used it, but every other one tends to skip it.
Like that whole, somebody watching over you as you sleep,
Yeah.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying. Even if it is your own creation, you know what I mean? It's just to wake up to that, to the knowledge of how long has this thing been hovering over me, watching me breathe and dream. That's nightmare fuel for me.
I just had a thought about something that I'm sure people have thought about before, but this whole thing in the novel. So in the novel version, this version takes more after the 30s movies where Victor, once he sees the creatures alive, he's excited about it. He's like, I got what I want, and now let's start training. And that's where things start to go wrong. But in the novel version, he is so
he's afraid.
First of all, well, he's afraid. Yeah. So first of all, the whole like coming to life thing's way more subdued, and then he's like, oh well, that didn't work. Goes to bed, sees the creature, and then is afraid and runs away. And I just thought about it, like, was that a representation of postpartum depression, where it's like I created this life myself, and now what? Now I finished this big thing, and now everything is different, and now just the freaking out about it afterward.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I don't think women are.
I mean, postpartum depression is a huge thing that affects lots and lots of women. Yeah.
Yes. But I don't think that women have been allowed to just run away.
I mean, it
right?
happened.
Like
Yeah.
it happens. Yes, it happens, but many times that's not the reaction that society places on women who suffer from postpartum depression.
Right.
Like Victor just ups and in the novel, he's just like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
I regret
You know what I
it.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm out.
I regret everything.
I don't see that as, viable for
No. It's definitely
for
not.
women. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would
Yeah.
categorize his reaction as postpartum.
And I don't think that Mary Shelley herself by the time she started this novel, she had one child who died, and another that lived, William, named William, and she was pregnant with another child. And she was, by all accounts, a very devoted mother, like very like
Right.
Percy was bothered by it. So, he was like, "You're more into the kids than me," which okay, fair.
Right. Which is
Um,
crazy. But I also to that question, I also think it's, like the difference is that fathers and men can oftentimes just pick up and leave.
mhm.
Right.
And women have less room to do so.
That was the norm,
Mhm.
especially in that time.
Right. So it's more
Right.
about the father-son relationship than
Yeah. Yeah.
giving birth.
Absence of the father. Being
Mm.
able to just, oh well, this is some fucked up shit I did. I'm out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what that is getting to, like the lack of responsibility for your actions,
Yeah.
for your creation, for what you've put into this world. I think that's a stark reminder of that. How responsible are you?
Yeah, and here we have a father who stays and does his duty, at least at first, but resents it and
Yes.
resents his progeny in pretty much the same way that Victor was resented by Leopold. And we
Again, and
see, yeah.
no, go ahead, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
And we see him training him in the same way. It's physical punishment. It's you perform this task, monkey, or I will hit you.
Yeah, and I think that's very true for both men and women, and how we are raised and how we choose to raise our children.
Hmm.
Right? It's again comes back to nature versus nurture. Are you born to be a terrible parent, or are you taught to be a terrible parent?
Mm-hmm. Probably the
Which
latter,
one
at
is
least
it?
in this case. Yeah, in this case, they're
In this
definitely.
case, right, right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that inherent, or is that something you've learned?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this was for me. This was the most impressive part of Jacob Elordi's portrayal. Was this whole just experiencing the world apparently. So he had like 4 weeks apparently to prep for this role because he got it last minute and was, had to finish another role first. And so what he did is he says in interviews he went out into the woods, he like studied okay, how do babies perceive the world, like paying attention to just the things in nature, the trees and all of that. And also he said he watched his dog, just the innocence of his dog, the boundless love that we see toward Victor. And
Yeah.
apparently, Del Toro also had him study this Japanese dance called Buto, particularly the part of it that Elordi refers to as the dance of reanimating a corpse.
Mm.
So, yeah, you said you wanted to see more of this particular creature. Uh, why?
Yeah,
What stands out
because
to
I
you?
just thought just the portrayal by Elordi is just the direction that Del Toro gives, how the mannerisms and how the creature emotes, the feeling that you get from the word without words. Yeah, I was invested. You know, I was invested in this character, and we'll talk about more of the character once we get to their telling of the story, and just yeah. But I was immediately drawn to the creature from when he's hunched over, staring at Victor, like what's going on in that brain that's just been awakened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Victor, like, takes I mean, I know Victor is at first well, it almost seems like he's gentle, but then he literally chains him. And why would you not give him like, any sort of robe or anything? It looks super cold down there.
Doesn't think that he doesn't think of it, doesn't believe that this thing is human. So
Right.
why
It's like
does it
that
need to be clothed?
like that half a corpse puppet that was,
Yes.
to a
Yes.
block of wood. Like, it's
What did his
horrifying
father
to
say?
think
Flesh,
yeah,
about flesh and
has no soul.
muscles.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So this is a thing.
And it's horrifying to think like that half corpse was something that was alive for a moment in
Right.
this horrified existence and curious and then dead. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was fun to see. I liked how Jacob Elordi also played that whole bit where he's following the floating leaves.
Yeah.
And you just think like, yeah, there's, the whole being chained in the basement. It reminds me of that Ursula K. Le Guin story about what's it called again? The Child of Omala.
I haven't read
And
it.
okay, yeah, it's a super short story. I'm about to spoil it. Anyone who hasn't read it yet, it's 5 minutes to read, really. But it's basically it's about. So except for you, Jean. Sorry, I'm about to spoil it for you.
Yeah, it's
it's
okay.
it's
I'll
it's
still read
about
it.
it's about like this city where all these things are going on, but then the secret of the city is there is this one abused child chained up in the basement, and this child takes all of the ill so that everyone else can be happy. But of course, the child lives in suffering, and you cannot show the child any mercy, or the entire city will fall apart.
That's interesting.
I'm not sure if that's a direct reference that Del Toro would have been making, but it just struck me that there are similarities there.
Right.
And
Right.
just like the creature should be, if you have a child, you want them to be outside experiencing the world. That's how you learn. You watch the leaves on the trees, you watch them float through the river. But here it's just chained in cold stone with words from a book being shouted at him. And then
Right.
Victor wonders why he doesn't learn. I loved the whole bit about his first word being Victor over and over. Like Victor, and Elizabeth says, perhaps for the time being, that word means everything to him. And I think that means that works two ways. Like it means because Victor is everything to him, that's his creator, that's the only person he's ever been exposed to. But also like Victor means chair, Victor means water, Victor means,
Right. Right.
Yeah. Victor, meanwhile, is referring to the creature as it, although sometimes him. And William dares ask, which part of the creature holds the soul? So very unlike
That's
their father.
very unlike their father.
I mean, yeah, what? That is the whole question here is like, if Victor created this creature out of body parts, where does the spark of life come from, the soul of consciousness? And then if that can be created, if a soul can exist in a constructed form like this, can, in our modern terms, a soul exist in programs and in lines of code if it achieves consciousness?
Elysia, it's a Saturday afternoon over here in New York. Don't get me started on this. Souls in machines.
I mean, but that's our body's just an organic machine.
Man, Ayesha, it's a Saturday afternoon in New York City.
Do you agree with the statement that's obviously the tagline of the movie? Elizabeth says to Victor, "Only monsters play God, Baron."
No, I don't agree with that.
No.
No, that's something that a woman of a person, and not just a woman, a person of that time might say. But I definitely don't agree with that. What does it mean to play God? There's so many questions I could ask of that.
If Victor had treated the creature better, would creating life in that way have been immoral?
I don't think so.
No, I also tend to agree. You can do it.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so.
mean, yeah.
This is some mad scientist shit. You know what I'm saying?
You have to,
I don't think so.
you have to treat your creations well, and also, I mean, but that's the question: is like, what if your creation is dangerous to others? Because of course, Victor makes the creature dangerous by the treatment, but the creature is dangerous inherently because the creature is strong and immortal.
Why is the creature dangerous inherently? I don't think the creature is dangerous. Inherent
Maybe not
danger.
In temperament, but the creature has the capability. Well, I mean, but everything has
We
like a
all
car.
do. Nature
A
versus
car
nurture.
is
Again, yes.
A car is inherently dangerous, but we use them every day. They exist all around us.
I don't view a car as inherently dangerous, though.
I mean, it is like if you're not careful, it will kill you.
Any tool can be inherently dangerous.
Sure. Some more than
but
others.
I don't agree that tools are inherently dangerous. I think something exists, and for the purpose that you use it, it can be changed. But just the mere existence of that thing doesn't mean that it is bad or good or whatever. It's how those things are used.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And then, of course, the creature is whatever Victor saw the creature as in the beginning, in terms of animated flesh versus not its own person. I think we all agree as an audience that the creature is a conscious, sentient being, and therefore no longer never a tool, was never a tool, whatever Victor intended.
Right.
I love, the way this section ends. Now the creature has learned the word Elizabeth, and the Victor says, "Say one more word to stop me from killing you." And he says Elizabeth. I was like, "Woo, that's the one word that's going to make him kill you faster."
That's the word. Yeah.
That's the. If he had said book or water, I don't know if that would have stopped anything. But Elizabeth, oof.
I don't think it would have stopped it. But saying Elizabeth definitely was the thing that was like, okay, fuck that.
Yeah. Oh, and Elizabeth comes back to set him free, but of course he can set himself free. And then the explosion is how Victor loses a leg, which is new. And I saw, I guess this was in the documentary, that Del Toro was saying the idea was the Victor and the creature should begin to look more and more alike as the movie goes on. So now Victor's walking differently, and of course by the end they're both covered in these like piles of furs in the Arctic, but. Yeah, it was interesting that's true. That's another scene that was gory.
Right.
With the leg. All right. Well, that is it for Victor's Tale. So we're going to take one final quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Creature's Tale, which is shorter, sadly, and the ending. Be right back. And we're back with the Creature's Tale of Frankenstein. And Jean, do you want to get us started on the summary of this part of the plot?
Absolutely. As Victor's story ends in Captain Anderson's cabin on a frozen ship in the Arctic, the creature arrives, his violence dissipating when he's given the chance to tell his side of the story, beginning with his escape from the burning lab and washing ashore. After that, he puts on the uniform of a dead soldier he finds and wanders the woods, studying the animals to learn about the world and find food.
One day, he is spotted by hunters who shoot at him. He flees and takes refuge in a shed for mill gears that he finds near what turns out to be the cabin of the hunters themselves. They live there with young Anna Maria, her mother Alma, and an elderly blind man, Alma's father. The creature watches the family, and as the grandfather teaches Anna Maria new words, the creature also learns to speak. Seeing that the family is overwhelmed by work, he secretly helps them at night, collecting wood and even building them a fence. They thank the quote unquote spirit of the forest and eventually leave him gifts of clothing and food, and for a time, the creature is content.
When winter comes, the men leave for their annual hunting trip, and Alma prepares herself and Anna Maria to spend the winter in town. But the old man insists on staying behind and spending his winter in prayer, as he always does. The creature decides this is his chance to approach the old man. Blind as he is, he cannot see the creature's unnatural look and assumes he is a wounded soldier. He invites him to stay, teaches him to read, and calls him friend.
Encouraged by the old man to confront his past, the creature returns to the ruins of the tower. There he finds the remnants of Victor's notes and learns what he is and the identity and address of the man who made him. But when he returns to the old man to share this news, he finds him lying dying from a wolf attack. The creature unleashes his fury on the wolves and bends over the old man for their final exchange. "I am the child of a charnel house, a monster," he says. "I know what you are," the old man responds. "You are a good man, and you are my friend." And then the old man dies in the creature's arms, just as the hunters return, walking in on this scene and assuming the worst. They attack the creature, who fights back, killing one. The remaining two shoot him and leave him for dead.
Victor, meanwhile, is racked with anxiety, dreaming nightly of the angel of death. It is William and Elizabeth's wedding day. It is also the day the creature arrives, demanding his maker create him a companion. The two have a confrontation, and William joins in, being thrown against the wall for his efforts. Elizabeth arrives as things escalate, ecstatic to see the creature. When Victor fires at him, she jumps in front of the bullet. As William dies from his injuries, the creature whose violence killed him carries his bride to Never Be, to a cave where she shares her love for the creature, whom she calls the pure being she has spent her life seeking.
When Elizabeth's life passes out of her body, the creature is enraged. He finds Victor and attacks him, crushing his nose, and then he runs north, and Victor, blaming him for Elizabeth and William's deaths, follows. So, okay, that's a lot, but let's jump back to the beginning of his tale, where the creature is a Disney princess with, I just kept thinking, every time they showed the creature in that mill house, he's got mice all over him. I'm like, he's like Cinderella. Right. I like what Del Toro did here with the whole blind man thing. Is a classic trope of, it comes from the original book. In the original book, it is with a family like this. And then it wasn't in the first Frankenstein movie in 1931, but the sequel, Bride of Frankenstein from 1935, they included this aspect of the book, but they had the old man alone, but they did something interesting with it. Because the old man was alone, it allowed the creature to spend more time with him.
Yes.
Yeah, actually had that time where the man could teach him and everything. So here Del Toro has kind of taken the best of both worlds. So that the creature has the opportunity to learn from studying them, but and do the other stuff, but then also gets time alone with him.
And also to see the family, interactions, I think, between the old man and Anna Maria, right? I think which is really important here, because it contrasts so starkly with what he experienced with Victor.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Yeah, to have that modeled for him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course we get more literary references here, just as we do in the book. He's literally reading Paradise Lost, and the creature also reads Percy Shelley's Ozymandias, which is one of Percy Shelley's most famous poems. And we also get more backstory for the old man, which we don't get a name for him, but we get backstory. And I suppose he doesn't have a name because the creature doesn't either. But we find out that the old man is atoning for taking a good man's life many years ago. And I love this line that he says. He says, "Forgive, forget. the true measure of wisdom to know you have been harmed, by whom you have been harmed, and choose to let it all fade. So, like, I had a friend who used to say she admired another friend because everything was like water off a duck's back with her.
Right.
And I don't know, we should always, there's definitely a line for that, but there's
I ain't
definitely a
gonna
lot
lie.
of there's
I
definitely a
ain't
lot
gonna
of
sit
truth
here and
to it.
lie.
There's a lot
I
of
ain't
truth to
gonna
it too.
lie. I love that quote. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't letting it fade. We could catch a fade, but I ain't letting it fade. That's how I'm living.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of that. I to me, it comes down to I'm a choose your battles person. I think
Yeah.
that there's a lot of stuff that I do just let slide because I can't
Oh
fight
yeah,
everything. I
absolutely.
don't have the energy, and it's
Absolutely.
counterproductive a lot of the time. But there are, the hills that I stand and plant my flag on.
Right.
Uh, and maybe the old man was past that. He was kind of more sublime, I suppose, than I am. And maybe I'll get there. Maybe I'll get there by the time I'm his age.
We try.
We try. We have to talk about something else here that is my one major ding against the movie. And if anyone who's listened to us discuss Morbius might know it's coming.
How? Wait a
It's
minute.
not bat slander this
I
time.
am
It's not bad
so
slander.
I am
It's
so
wolf slander.
like I am so in tune right now. We're talking about this Frankenstein, and here you come with Morbius. Like, ooh.
I'm
Go
a
ahead.
Morbius defender except for the bat slander. And here, I don't have to be a defender of this movie. People agree it's good. But except for the wolf slander, what are we doing with there's also, it's a major political thing here in the Netherlands about wolves that they've been bringing them back. And then it's always like, oh, the wolves are going to attack everyone. But that's not normally, this is not normal wolf behavior. Like the way we see the wolves acting in this is
Yeah.
not. It's more, actually, I have to say, I think Pluribus did a better job at that. Like they'll go for the low hanging fruit, but they're not breaking into Carol's house to get her.
Right. But
sorry if you don't watch Pluribus, but
but I think this vision of wolves is clearly what the vision and version of wolves that we have from that time period.
From like fairy tales, you mean, where they're the big bad outside?
Yes, absolutely. So this fits. It may not be true, but I think even in real life in that time period, this is how wolves were viewed. So I think it fits the narrative of the story.
I guess it depends. But yeah, I like what the creature says about all this. The first time when the wolves come and attack the sheep, the creature says, it then became clear to me the hunter did not hate the wolf did not hate the sheep, but violence felt inevitable between them. Perhaps, I thought, this was the way of the world. It would hunt you and kill you just for being who you are, which is such a depressing way to look at things. But what else could the creature possibly
Could it
think,
be, right?
given his experiences to that point?
Given his circumstances, yeah.
I mean, we live in a society, at least, that pits us against each other. I won't get into
just for being who we are.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the inherent fear of the other, of the wolf coming in and eating you because you don't hate each other, but you're different. Still, the wolf slander, but we got some really, okay, that's true. Two more gnarly things when the monster rips the skin from the wolf.
That was crazy.
And then when the monster rips the jaw from one of the hunters.
That was crazier.
You're right. Okay, it's a 5. It's a Pekila 5. I'm
No,
sorry.
thank you very much for agreeing.
But yeah, so I think, like, we were talking about William and Victor, and I think that William sees Victor as the wolf. His final words to him were that he fears him and he calls him a monster and then dies. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think William has at that point has seen his brother for who his brother really is. No more, trying to protect, no more trying to launder who his brother has been, and he just sees him as is a quite selfish, driven human being.
Yeah. And then Victor has to live with it until he dies.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like Victor should survive this story and have to just like sit and think about all
No,
this.
no.
And sit. Well, I mean, there's also that trope of what's the worst torture than having to live with what you've done.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hear that too, but I'm all for getting rid of the peoples
Let the man go. Okay.
that need to get rid of.
What? So I don't think any of us expected the wedding to go down the way it did. What did you think was going to happen when they were like setting up this wedding? And I have to shout out, by the way, that I saw this immediately, but they also referenced it in the documentary about Elizabeth's wedding dress. The arms, the wraps around the arms, are references to the costume in The Bride of Frankenstein.
What's your question? What did I think
Oh,
of it?
sorry. Yeah, what did you think? Yeah, the dress is lovely. I'm sure you agree. But what did you think was going to happen at the wedding?
I thought all hell was going to break loose like immediately. That's what I thought
Oh,
was going to happen.
and that is
Yeah,
basically what happened.
yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought all hell was going to break loose, and it's going to be, um, it's going to the people who are attending are going to have a lot of good stories to tell.
I thought that like maybe all hell would break loose. Well, in the book, Elizabeth, in most adaptations, Elizabeth's killed after the wedding. So I expected
Right.
that. I thought that there was going to be some sort of ceremony. Maybe stuff would happen there. But I suppose I should have been watching the time because it was running out at that point. So, of course, it just, yeah, immediately breaks loose before there's even time for any of that.
Right.
I, it is I do miss one thing I miss from the books is the whole we get kind of rushed through the part where the creature asks for a
For a
companion.
companion. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's in the books there's like this whole philosophical conversation between them where the creature actually convinces Victor for a while that he should do this, that he should go through and make a companion. And here it cuts straight to the part where Victor's just horrified by the idea of them procreating. It's like, oh, you created this creature, but you can't stand the creature creating something himself. Anyway, and then and rather than trying to argue with him, the creature is just like attacks immediately. And for me,
Right.
that was, I had mixed feelings about it. Like, I understand why he didn't want to stretch that out more, but it was also felt sudden. This is an angrier creature than in the novel, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it didn't feel sudden to me. His anger was perfectly justified in that moment
I mean, I
for me.
understand it. Okay. Okay. What did you think of the whole final cave scene?
Oh man, when he says, it was the quote. I think he wrote it down.
Elizabeth's quote? She
Yeah,
says, "My place was never in this world. I sought and longed for something I could not quite name, but in you I'd found it. To be lost and to be found, that is the lifespan of love. And in its brevity, its tragedy, this is made eternal. Better this way, to fade with your eyes gazing upon me."
I, that's lovely. That's just beautiful. It tugs at my heart.
It's poetry.
It is. It is very poetic, and it's very for the creature, it's just like is this is the thing that I've wanted.
To be loved.
Right. This is the thing I've been seeking, and that my creator has denied me of receiving this.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
We know a Del Toro movie is a high likelihood of someone falling in love with a monster. But it is funny. It's a trend also with Nosferatu last year and everything. But I think it is about this. It's interesting. She finds purity in the outsider, in the creature that does not even know how to conform to society, versus, yeah, like I said, I used the word artifice before, and I think that's, for me, my interpretation of what she's feeling there, why she feels this. I don't think it's pure love. I think, as we talked about before, that she's using the creature for her own purposes. But then again, I guess, where's the line between that in people in real life? I think, yeah, that what she sees in him is a raw honesty, a realness.
We also have to remember that this is the creature's telling of the story as well.
Mm-hmm. True.
Right? Which parts are real? Which are the parts that he wanted to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's another thing that I felt was like, we're getting a story, being told from two very different perspectives, and where do we see the truth? Right? Did she say this wonderful line to him?
Mm.
Or did he wish it to be so?
Right.
Was there a mixture of these things being said, or, was it their absence of these things being said?
Right. Perhaps she died in his arms as he walked out.
Right.
That blood looked like it was spreading awful fast. Yeah,
Very
it's
quickly.
true. Yeah, difference between facts and truth.
And that's something that we won't know. We will
Mm-hmm.
never know.
Yeah.
So what do we take from their respective retellings, right? What do we as individuals believe?
I wish we had gotten her version,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we don't in the book either, or any, yeah. But I wish. Well, this is why I'm also interested in. We're going to get in 2026. We're getting. They
The
delayed. I
Bride.
think. Yeah, they delayed. I think, to avoid this film, but we're getting The Bride from Maggie Gyllenhaal, and that will be. I'm very much looking forward to that one as well. But let's wrap this one up. Do you want to get us started on the end?
Yeah. North and north and north they go, eventually hiring sled dogs to carry them across the ice into the Arctic. There's another confrontation, and the creature takes the dynamite Victor brought to kill him. Lighting the stick, he tells Victor to run. But even that explosion is not enough to end his miserable existence.
It was in the aftermath of this incident that Captain Anderson found Victor on the ice. Now, as Victor lies dying, the creature laments that he cannot do the same. His suffering will never end. But Victor, now consumed with regret, acknowledges the creature as his son and asks him to forgive him for his mistreatment, telling him to take his eternal life and live. He makes one last request. Say my name. My father gave me that name, and it meant nothing. Now I ask you to give it back to me one last time, the way you said it at the beginning when it meant the world to you. The creature responds, Victor, I forgive you. He kisses his creator's forehead, and it is over. Perhaps now we can both be. Oh, sorry. Perhaps now we can both be human. The creature hopes as the captain escorts him off his ship, protecting him from the crew.
Repaying the captain's kindness, the creature uses his super strength to free the frozen boat, and Captain Anderson, who has learned from Dr. Frankenstein's hubris, assures his crew that they will now return home, and the creature remains on the ice, unveiling his face to greet a great new dawn.
I love the whole. I was thinking about the clothing aspect of this, where the creature is essentially naked in when chained up with Victor. And I think, and this is, as a newborn, so to speak, and then goes out into the world and puts on clothing. And as the movie goes on, the creature puts on more and more clothing. And I started to think about this, about how we as humans are in life, how we don't shield ourselves as small children, because most of us don't have to. We are in a safe environment where our parents ensure that we can be ourselves. Hopefully that's the case. But even when you come from a safe environment, from that, as you go through life and get exposed to the outside world, to all of the horrible things that happen in life, you put on more and more layers of armor. Like we saw the creature with the clothing. So then at that last moment when he unveils his face, it's almost saying like, okay, maybe I can open myself up again to life just a little bit and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's very symbolic of him, trying to usher in a new start, a new beginning.
Yeah.
A different way to live and exist. No more running, no more hiding. So, clearly as he had done, tried something new and embraced the world instead of hiding away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Del Toro drives it home with this last quote from Lord Byron that he includes, and thus the heart will break, yet brokenly live on.
Right.
Except not Lord Byron's because he was bloodletted to death. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we go from, I think that conversation was definitely between Victor and the creature. That doesn't happen in the books. That is a movie invention here because Victor's dead by the time the creature shows up to tell his tale in the book.
Right.
And I'm glad that we got it. That's what made me tear up every time I watch this film so far.
No, yeah, I think it's a great scene. Because sometimes we have to come to terms with, our parents, and they have to come to terms with who they are as well as parents. Sometimes that gulf is too wide to be, covered, to be bridged over. And sometimes people don't make the effort to do so, And in this moment, we can see a father recognizing just how terrible was at it, and really in that moment saying, "I'm sorry," Does it take away everything that was done? No, absolutely not. But it does offer a chance for his child to grieve and to begin the process of healing. Because if you don't get that, it's very difficult to heal.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but difficult.
Right. It's great. Apparently this is inspired by Del Toro and his own final conversation with his father. I didn't know this whole story until I started, watching the interviews talking about this movie where Del Toro talks about how apparently his father was kidnapped at one point and Steven Spielberg ended up paying the ransom to get his father back. Yeah. And it just Del Toro never really got an explanation for this whole situation, and it just haunted him for his life after that. And then when his father was close to death, he sat down with him and said, "We need to talk about this." And this is the conversation that inspired him to add this conversation to his version of the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy story. I love that this has kind of like a more, I said at the beginning, but it's kind of has a more hopeful ending, at least the least nihilistic ending yet. Like you do feel it's not just the creature, like it's not just the ultimate tragedy and the creature lopes off into nothingness to die or to live eternal, depending on which version. But it's actually, well, maybe I can make something. If I'm forced to live, maybe I can actually do that, actually live.
Right.
Do you have any final thoughts on the movie overall?
Yeah, I think I'm just, again, really glad that this movie is out because it is a great way to tell a story that we all know, that most of us know. Let me not say we all, that most of us know, and bring something new to it. So I really enjoyed this, and I'm hoping that if you haven't seen it, that you get to see it and enjoy it as well. And I hope that if you have seen it, that you enjoyed it, almost as much as I did.
Yes. Yes, and sorry it took a while to get this episode out, but I think a thorough discussion is worth waiting for, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's been so crazy with all the end of year content. Obviously, you've seen your feeds. um, but if there's not enough Lorehounds content for you, you can always check out our affiliates. You'll find that a link in the link tree in the show notes to all of them. But just to shout out, Radioactive Ramblings is currently covering the second season of Fallout. Yeah. I haven't watched the first episodes yet.
Very dope.
I'm gonna be traveling, so right after we record this, so I'm going to be downloading them for the plane.
Nice.
Never mind the music. They are always keeping up with their steady content. And We'll Shift Dust. You can catch up on the A Christmas Carol series for this year with Luke and I. That we had a lot of fun, especially with the Twists episode. And in the main feed, I want to shout out shortly after this, there is going to be, I interviewed a practical VFX artist named Lee Romer. He did do some work on this film, particularly with some of the, he said, I'm known as the dead animals guy, but he does a lot of other stuff, including, theme park animatronics and things like that. So I had a whole conversation with him about all of that, and that will be coming to your feeds soon as well.
Nice.
What else is going on in the Lorehounds feed?
I mean, Welcome to Derry wrapped up. So that's out right now.
You like the season finale?
Yes, I did actually. Yes, I thought the last 2 episodes were my favorite of the season.
Okay, cool.
So I really enjoyed. I have my quips about certain things that I've made clear on our Discord. But overall, I thought this was a great season, and I'm looking forward to more Pennywise, more It, and more iconic scenes like Richie giving It the finger. I need more of that.
More Richie, more giving It the finger. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Pluribus still ongoing weekly. I think the finale is this week coming up.
Yeah, when this episode might come out after the Pluribus finale. It'll be right before or after that, yeah.
So that's still ongoing. We have Anne Rice's Talamasca, the Secret Order one-shot, which I haven't watched the show yet. So I'll probably binge that and then listen to the one-shot.
I think it's on Netflix in most places now.
Talamasca? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. There's The Predator Badlands one-shot that was done as well. We have Wicked for Good. With you, right? Wicked for Good.
Yeah, Wicked for Good was me, Marilyn, and Nicole. So that and we just went out before we recorded, but by the time this comes out, it'll have been out for a week.
So there are things out there to listen to, folks. Please continue to listen and talk and review and send your best rebuttals and agreements. Always love to have nice discourse. There's also the Top 10 TV subscriber poll and co-host interviews, which will be dropping December 25th and 26th.
Yeah, it'll be in the past by the time you hear this. But yeah, catch up. We'll have heard by then. I still don't know what Jean's top 3 were, but by the time you hear this, I will have heard that.
And she will have issues.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, yeah. So December 25th will be the top 10 where we have the results of the subscriber poll, and David, John, and I share our top 10. And then the next day, it sounds like it is going to be a whopping episode with talking to you and Marilyn and Mark and Nicole and etc. So and some news for the network. So
I don't think there's too much surprises, but who knows?
There may be.
Who knows?
Well, you have all that to catch up on and to look forward. Lots coming in January. We talked about that also in those TV top 10 episodes. But also award season has begun. So I did drop just the top 2026 Oscar qualified shorts for Lorehounds. And I'm glad to say that a number of my favorites made it to the short list. So watch out for that, and watch out for more about award season coming in the new year. Feel free to catch up on what's happened in the past. And yeah, you and I are going to be busy in January as well.
Going to be a busy January.
Yeah, we're going to start with our MCU versus DCU 2026 lore down. Which IP shall stand? It's going to be Stranger Things and Percy Jackson one-shots. Unfortunately, Wonder Man's going to be a one-shot because it's going to be a binge drop, but that looks good.
It looks good. And I just watched the first 3 Percy Jacksons, and they were really good.
Okay, cool.
But super looking forward to Wonder Man.
Yeah, me too. And to 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Apparently the first test audience has absolutely loved it. So very excited. And there's going to be weekly A Night of the Seven Kingdoms coverage coming as well. And of course, Supercast and Patreon subscribers, that is the same feed 2 ways where you get ad-free access to all of this stuff, but also regular extra episodes. Like we didn't get to do The Witcher before the end of the year, but I think we're still going to do it in January.
I would love to.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be talking about The Witcher as a What You Watchin' for subscribers. And also there's going to be one about Death by Lightning with Brian, who is a historian specialized in Garfield, the president that Death by Lightning is about. So
nice.
Lots and lots of stuff coming up in the new year. But we would not be here at all without a few people. So we like to shout out our thank yous. Now I've pulled this from the horror folder. In honor of our creature. It is called Longing. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena Ajalea, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. And thank you to all of our listeners. If you're listening to this right now, you are helping us enormously. You can help us even more for free by sharing this episode with anyone else who'd like to know more about Frankenstein and leaving a nice review wherever you happen to be listening. But of course, I especially want to thank our subscribers who keep us going. Most of all, our top tier, the Lore Masters, Martian, Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Dude71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Garrett C, Andrew B, Kwong Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Liz Stu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Holly S, Ilmariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica A, Red Zippy, the TCS, Dopamini, Catch It, LNR, and always last, Adrian. Any final words, Jean?
Thank you. And yeah, give us a sequel, for real.
Thank you for listening to The Lorehounds. Please send any questions and feedback to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com or horror@thelorehounds.com. And check out our Supercast and Patreon feeds for ad-free access and bonus episodes. Look out for all those links, including links to all the other podcasts on our network in the link tree in the show notes. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities.